Every NBA fan has their top 10 list. Most of them are wrong, and today we're fixing that. No recency bias, no nostalgia bias, no he was my favorite player so he's top 3 bias. Just a cold, honest, correct answer to the greatest debate in basketball history. You may agree over some of these picks, you may lose your mind over some of these picks, and by the end, whether you like it or not, you're going to know this list is right. So let's get into it. Kobe Bryant. And before you close the tab, hear me out. Putting Kobe at 10 is not disrespect. This list is so historically loaded that 10 is still an honor that 99.9% of players who ever lived would die for. Here's what Kobe did. 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, 1 regular season MVP, 81 points in a single game, the second highest scoring performance in NBA history, and a 20-year career defined by a standard of excellence that bordered an obsession. The Mamba mentality wasn't a marketing slogan. It was a documented, verified daily commitment to being better than everyone else was on the floor. Players who practice with him, teammates, opponents, have spent years trying to explain what it felt like to be in the gym with Kobe Bryant. The word they all use is relentless. So why 10? Because Kobe's peaks, as brilliant as they were, came with significant help. Shaquille O'Neal for the three-peat, Pau Gasol for the back-to-back, and his individual statistic efficiency when measured against the players above him on the list comes up just short. 10 is correct. 10 is still legendary, and rest in peace Mamba. Shaquille O'Neal. Peak Shaq is the most physically dominant force the NBA has ever seen. Full stop, no debate. At 7'1", 325 pounds, and I want to emphasize this, fast. Not big man fast, but fast. Shaq ran the court like a guard and hit the paint like a freight train. There was no legal way to stop him. Teams tried to double team him, triple team him, hack a Shaq, rule changes, nothing worked. And from 1999 to 2002, Shaq won 3 consecutive championships and 3 consecutive finals MVPs. In 2000, he won the regular season MVP, the All-Star Game MVP, and the finals MVP in the same year. That's a sweep. Nobody sweeps, and Shaq swept. His peak is arguably the highest peak on this list, so why 9 and not higher? Conditioning, longevity, and free throws, which look, we have to mention it. Shaq's career was shortened by his own resistance to conditioning, and his free throw shooting was used as a legitimate tactical weapon against him for his entire career. For a player this dominant to have that exploitable a weakness keeps him just outside the top 8. 9. Undeniable. Bill Russell. 11 championships. Say that again. 11 championships in 13 seasons. Bill Russell won the NBA championship in 11 of his 13 years in the league. He won 5 consecutive MVPs. He anchored the most dominant dynasty in the history of American professional sports, and then, when the Celtics needed a coach, became the first black head coach in major American professional sports and kept winning. The argument against Russell is always the era. Smaller player pools, less athleticism, segregated competition, and that's a fair historical footnote. But there's one counter. Russell didn't just win, he revolutionized. He invented the modern concept of defensive basketball, shot blocking as a team defensive weapon, positioning as a deterrent, communicating rotations. Russell built that framework from scratch. Every great defensive center who came after him was working off his blueprint. 11 championships. The blueprint. Wilt Chamberlain. The statistics don't make sense. They genuinely do not compute. 100 points in a single game, not 70, not 81 like Kobe. 100 points in one game against professional basketball players. 50.4 points per game for an entire season, an average per game for a season. 22.9 rebounds per game for his career, not a peak season, his career average. And here's the one that breaks people's brains. In 1967, Wilt Chamberlain led the NBA in assists. A center led the league in assists because someone told him he was too selfish and decided to prove a point. Wilt could literally do anything he wanted on a basketball court. His physical gifts were far beyond everyone else's that the league changed its rules multiple times specifically to slow him down. They widened the lane, they changed offensive goaltending rules, they changed the rules on inbounding the ball. The NBA literally rewrote its whole rule book for one man. So why not higher than 7? 2 championships in a 14-year career, given his physical dominance, leaves questions about winning that keep him just behind the names above him. Larry Bird. Larry Bird walked into the NBA arenas and told opponents exactly what he was going to do to them, where he was going to shoot from, how many points he was going to score, which hand he was going to use, and then did it. That's not confidence, that's a different category of human. 3 championships, 3 MVPs, 3 finals appearances, 9 All-NBA first-team selections, and a player widely considered by his peers, including Magic Johnson, who competed against him harder than anyone, to be the most complete forward the game has ever seen. Bird could shoot from anywhere, he could pass like a point guard, he could rebound, he was one of the most underrated defenders of his era. People forget he was a legitimate defensive presence who understood positioning better than almost anyone. And he did all of this on a bad back. His last 3 or 4 years were played through back pain that would have ended most players' careers before they started. Bird at his peak is one of the 2 or 3 most skilled players ever. The back, the era, and the slight edge of the players above him put him at 6. Stephen Curry. And this is the one that's going to get the most pushback, so let's address it directly. Curry is a product of the system. No. The system was built around Curry because of what Curry could do. That's the opposite argument. People say he couldn't do without Clay and Draymond. Ask the 2015-2016 Warriors, who went 73-9, led by Curry's unanimous MVP. The first unanimous MVP in NBA history, whether that was a system player or not. Here's what Stephen Curry did to basketball. He made the three-point line irrelevant as a boundary. Before Curry, shooting from the logo was a low-percentage desperation heave. After Curry, every team in the NBA reconstructed its entire offensive philosophy around the threat of a deep 3. He didn't just change how he played, he changed how everyone plays. 4 championships, 2 MVPs, the unanimous MVP, the all-time three-point record by a distance that may never be touched. And the most important stat, opposing defenses changed their entire game plan around stopping one man from shooting. No other player since Jordan, and arguably more than Jordan, has wrapped opposing strategy just by being on the floor. 5, and it's not close. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is 6'9" and played the point guard better than anyone has ever played, besides for Steph Curry. And you may ask, well, why was Steph ranked below him? It's because greatness and being better are 2 different things. Magic was greater, but Steph is better. Magic Johnson, a 6'9" man, ran the point guard position. In the Showtime Lakers fast break offense, one of the most sophisticated offensive systems in basketball history, and was the best player on 5 championship teams. Magic's vision was supernatural. He saw passes that hadn't happened yet. He processed the court at a speed that made him look like he was playing a different game than the 9 other people on the floor. And his feel for the moment, the big game, the pressure moment, was matched only by the man who sits at number 2 on this list. 3 MVPs, 5 championships, 3 finals MVPs, and the 1979-1980 rookie season where he started at center in Game 6 of the NBA Finals because Kareem was injured and dropped 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. As a rookie, in Game 6 of the Finals at center. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the second highest scoring in the NBA's all-time scoring list, with 38,387 points, a record that stood for nearly 4 decades and was only recently broken by the man at number 1 on this list. Kareem played in the NBA for 20 seasons. He was an all-star in 19 of them. Let that sentence sit for a second. 6 championships, 6 MVPs, the most in NBA history, 2 eras, 2 dynasties, the Milwaukee Bucks in the early 70s, and the Showtime Lakers in the 80s. Kareem didn't just survive the transition between eras, he dominated both of them. And the skyhook. We have to talk about the skyhook. The skyhook was the most statistically efficient and physically unguardable shot in the history of basketball. It was developed, perfected, and owned exclusively by one man. Nobody else ran it. Nobody else could. It required a combination of footwork, touch, timing, and ambidextry that Kareem spent decades developing and nobody has successfully replicated since. Michael Jordan. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, 14 All-Star appearances, 63 points on Larry Bird's Celtics when Bird said he was the god disguised as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the reason this argument exists. He is the gold standard, the benchmark, the name every player since 1991 has been measured against whether they like it or not. His competitiveness was categorically different from every other elite athlete. There are hundreds of documented stories, teammates, opponents, coaches, describing Jordan's will to win as something closer to psychological condition than a personality trait. He didn't want to be the best, he needed to be the best, in a way that made everyone around him either better or uncomfortable. 6 finals, 6 wins, perfect record. And here's what keeps him at 2 instead of 1. He retired twice in his prime, the baseball years and the Washington years. While not diminishing his legacy, raised the question of what the career looks like with those years added in. LeBron has played every year, every game for going on 22 seasons without that interruption. Jordan at his peak is the most dominant two-way player the sport has ever seen. Number 1, the GOAT, LeBron Raymond James. And here's how we're going to do this. We're not going to spend 5 minutes defending it. We're just going to lay out the facts and let them speak. LeBron James has played 22 seasons in the NBA. He has been an all-star in 21 of them. He has made the NBA Finals 10 times with 4 different teams: Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland again, and Los Angeles. He won a championship with a Cleveland team that was down 3-1 against a 73-win Warriors squad that had just beaten his record from the previous year. He delivered the greatest finals comeback in NBA history for a city that hadn't won a championship in 52 years. He scored more points than any player in NBA history, more than Kareem, more than Jordan, more than Wilt, more than everyone. He had done this while being the primary ball handler, the primary scorer, the primary playmaker, and in multiple seasons, the primary defender on his team. He has elevated teammates who had no business being on an NBA Finals roster. He made coaches look like geniuses. He has adapted his game every 5 years as his body changed, going from an explosive slasher in Cleveland to facilitating maestro Miami to post-up powerhouse in his late 30s. The knock on LeBron is always the rings. 4 to Jordan's 6. But context matters. Jordan had Scottie Pippen, a top 50 player all time, for all 6 championships. LeBron won titles with Dwayne Wade, with Kyrie Irving, and with Anthony Davis, none of whom are in Pippen's tier as a co-star. The breadth, the length, the adaptability, the production at age 39 that would make a 25-year-old blush. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Number 1, the correct answer. That's the list, the correct list. Drop your 10 in the comments. Tell me who I got wrong. Tell me who I disrespected. Tell me why Jordan is actually number 1. I've heard the argument, I respect the argument, and I also disagree with the argument. Like and subscribe if you made it this far. See you next time.